Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is February 3, 2022, and the sun is in Aquarius. We're in the second third of the sun's transit through Aquarius, which is indicated by this card, the Six of Swords. The sun is in Aquarius, and so is Saturn. And Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn and Uranus, but I would say especially at this time, since Saturn is at home in Aquarius, it's very much ruled by Saturn, which brings about those themes in our life of, minding our structural integrity, making sure our foundations are firm, and also remembering our responsibility to maintain those structures and foundations. Sun in Aquarius is gives us the gift of helping us see things as they truly are. We don't deceive ourselves at this time. We can really back up and take an overview and see what's really going on. And when we're doing that, then we begin to seek solutions and progress. The moon in Pisces, then working with the sun in Aquarius, the moon in Pisces allows us to bring our imagination and creativity to this process of seeing and imagining better solutions. Goal setting requires a view of what is and an idea of what can be. So this is what is and this is what can be. And the waxing crescent nature of this moon asks us to be making our plans. I hope that's pretty visible. Invites us to be making our plans based on the goals and intentions we have set for ourselves, either with this new moon or in the past. And we're working on plans right now so that next Tuesday with the first quarter moon, we can begin to put them into action and hopefully see at least some culmination of our goals with the new moon in a couple of weeks. I mean the full moon in a couple of weeks. Okay, let's take a look at the planets that we have on the page today, and then we'll get into these aspects. The sun is at the top of the list as usual, and the sun represents the outer life. This is who you are when you step out the door, the person that people first get to know when they meet you, and who you are in your social, work, and civic spheres. The moon represents the inner life. This is more about your relationship with yourself. Also, those things you think, feel, know, and intuit about what's going on around you, and who you are in your domestic life, in your home space, with the people who are there and where that happens to be. Mercury is on the page, and Mercury represents the intellect, the personal intellect. So especially your day-to-day thoughts, plans, communications, and the running around that you do. Jupiter is on the page today, just representing for Thursday. Thursday is Jupiter's day. And Jupiter represents growth, expansion, positive, good fortune. Also, sort of like higher education, big business, broader travel, just larger experiences in general. Saturn is here and coming up down here and kind of all over in these signs and aspects, as we'll point out soon. Saturn represents, again, those networks and structures that we rely on for support and our responsibility to maintain them. Neptune asks us what our relationship is to the human collective. Pluto brings us all through sort of extremes of experience, high highs and low lows of emotion and experience, so that we are, through those, transformed. Mars is your personal planet for initiative, so it's whatever that fire is in your gut that gets you personally moving. And Chiron is an asteroid, not a planet, and it represents your capacity to heal, as well as whatever it is you're working on healing. Okay, let's go ahead and get into these aspects. I have divided the page into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our inner lives, and these aspects are relatively brief, and they really kind of represent ambient energies that might affect our emotions and our intuitions. The sun sheds light on our outer lives, and I address the sun's aspects and the rest of the planets over here because they take longer than the lunar aspects and they have more to do with how we behave out in the world with other people. And we start with the moon today. Central Standard Time, friends, at, okay, 5:54 in the evening. The moon makes a conjunct with Neptune. So this is way up here in the morning time. I guess I didn't look closely, but it's just the first aspect that happens to us today, and it's almost at 6 p.m. So keep that in mind. The moon makes a conjunct with Neptune. So moon in aspect with Neptune has us feeling more psychic and sensitive and wide open to the thoughts and feelings of the energies of those people around us. At this time, especially with the conjunct energy, which amplifies both the fact that this is your heart and home and this is your relationship to the human collective. Our instincts are spot on at this time, and we kind of have the courage of our convictions. Like we know what we're feeling, and we know that we're not deceived about it. Don't forget to include others as you move forward, because you might, it might occur to you to take these instincts and intuitions that you're getting and, your connection with the human beings around you, and take some initiative with it. There's a lot of initiative and momentum right now in the air. Just don't forget to communicate with your human collective as well about what you're planning to do. And then this evening at 10:55 p.m., less than an hour after Mercury goes direct, the moon makes a sextile with Mercury. So it's almost like, welcome back, Mercury, and we feel that in our heart. And we may notice in our home, like just a desire to communicate and connect with, especially those people we keep closest to us. And, we're feeling like sharing what's in our heart. We're feeling free and open to communicate. And at this time, it's okay to be moved by logic and reason. That's what Mercury does for us, is it brings in the logic and reason, the personal intellect. And, the guidance that I received when I was reflecting on this was to be budgeable, or to become budgeable. So if you have, been relatively stuck, or not necessarily stuck, but feeling like you don't need to or desire to move on a specific situation, especially a heart and home centered situation, it might be time to listen to reason from somebody that is close to you, or from your own heart, and allow yourself to be moved if being moved is what's appropriate there. And then on the solar side of the page, in the ongoing column, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So Mercury has been retrograde for these last 3 weeks. Mercury conjunct Pluto will be with us for another 12, 11, 10, 9, just over a week. This has been a time when we've been having some conversations with ourselves regarding ways that we can transform ourselves, ways that we can change and bring a more positive, workable vibe into our lives. Everybody's got to grow up a little bit from time to time. It's not just one time that you grow up, or it's not just one epiphany or realization that you get. We get many, many chances to realize things and to do better for ourselves and others in our lives. So, this is our personal intellect being amplified in a relationship to our ability to transform and evolve. So we're thinking about it. We're having the conversation with ourselves about the transformations that we're going through. And Mercury is going to go direct today, so that conversation that has been somewhat internal can now be turned outward. We can start to have those conversations with other people about the transformation that we're going through, or the transformations we see going on just in the world in general. And with Mercury direct, it should be easier to have those conversations without, upsetting, offending, or, just getting ourselves ruffled, or, intellectually out of order. Transformation takes effort. It takes a lot of work. And I know I've talked about this a couple times over the past couple of days. When you can see a difference in yourself, please stop and celebrate it. If you've done something, if you've made some sort of transformation in your life, uh, consciously, especially, or if you just know that you've been through a change and that it has impacted you in a positive way and hopefully helped you adjust your approach just to being human, then, take a moment to sit back and pat yourself on the back and celebrate yourself. Uh, that is appropriate at this time. And then today on the sun side of the page at 10:13 p.m., Mercury goes direct. Full steam ahead, friends. Momentum is ours. And what I mean by that, like the sun is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Aquarius too. So Saturn's effect right there, like that eye toward refining and making sure that our both internal and external foundations are firm, the structures and networks that we lean on for support are strong, and our sense of our ability to keep them strong, to maintain those structures, is very much on the table in our conversations with ourselves and with others, and just in our efforts in the world. But it's not just the sun that is under Saturn's influence. Mercury is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. Mars is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. Pluto is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. Venus is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. So very heavy Saturn influence, just like 5 planets in a Saturn ruled sign at this point. And so that puts Saturn right here and right here. We see it down here and right here. So, understand that a lot of these conversations that you're having, especially Mercury, the personal intellect, are about like what it takes to feel supported and feel strong enough to move ahead and make the changes that we need to make. Go through these transformations, right? Sort of structured transformation, sort of transformation that reinforces our bonds and our foundations. So momentum is ours. Capricorn, Saturn ruled Capricorn is a very, it's a cardinal earth sign. So it brings initiative to the work that we have to do. It brings initiative to our desire to shore up those foundations and feel firmly supported. So if you're feeling that initiative and momentum, like it's really there, you're not alone. That's some for real stuff. And I would say take advantage of it to the best of your ability. Tomorrow, we have 3 things happening on the page, on the solar side of the page. Saturn reaches its aphelion, which is its furthest point from the sun on its elliptical orbit around the sun. Saturn's pretty far out there, so aphelion sort of lasts a while, or the effects of aphelion. And what that tells me is that the effects of these transformations that we're going through, the effects of these changes we're making, and our efforts to strengthen our foundations, they're taking a little more effort, and they might, the results might show up a little bit in a delayed fashion. That doesn't mean that, they're never going to show up. It just means like you might think that the change you made is going to really impact you today. And maybe it does impact you on the inside today, but it might not show on the outside until Saturn's ready to give it up, because it's way out there. Think about like the farther the distance, then the longer the drive, right? And then also tomorrow, Mars is going to make this sextile with Jupiter, which is going to give us a few beautiful days of just initiative in a cooperative relationship with our desire to expand and grow. And the sun is also going to make a conjunct with Saturn tomorrow. So that's going to be, again, the intensification of these themes around structural integrity and our duty to maintain, our sense of duty to maintain. And then on Sunday, Mars is going to go square with Chiron. and we'll talk about that when it comes up. Also, next Tuesday, we'll have a first quarter moon in Taurus, which will help us get out of our planning phase and into the action phase of bringing our goals, short term or long term, into fruition, so that we have something to celebrate when the full moon comes up. All right, and that is it for the aspects today. I'm writing down the word tomorrow and trying to say the word today. So, if you have any thoughts, questions, comments to make, please put them in the comments section. I will see them and respond to them. And especially if this brings anything up for you, if it inspires any sort of intuitive knowing or understanding, I'd love to hear about that. And I'd also just love to hear how Saturn's effect is really bearing down in your lives. I can definitely see the changes happening in my life. So at this point, I'm in the habit of throwing a tarot card. If you're here with me still, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share this with somebody that you think it might resonate with. All of that helps. The tarot card that we have sitting on the side here represents the second 1/3 of the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Aquarius. And this card is the Six of Swords. And it really kind of indicates, I mean, there's a sadness to it. And sometimes there is some sadness with this, but it indicates moving away from a situation that was harmful or potentially harmful to us. And, now with all of the planets going direct, we are really empowered to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And again, shore up our foundations and feel strong in our support. And sometimes, if you don't feel strong in your support, if you don't feel like you're getting what you need out of a situation, it's time to move away and find a different way to support yourself. Especially if you're in a situation where people have been aggressive with you, verbally abusive with you, have used their plans and ideas against you, or even if you're in a situation where you've been using your thoughts, plans, and ideas against yourself, it's time to back up and stop doing that, okay? Like, cut out all the extra clutter of drama and speculation and stipulation, and go ahead and just create some space for yourself so that you can, again, take that bird's eye view of your structures and bring some creativity with it so that you know what you can plan to change. Okay, and with all of that in mind, I'm going to remind myself and these cards that I have in hand here that the sun is in Aquarius and so is Saturn, and the waxing crescent moon is in Pisces, so we're in a mode of making plans and using creativity and imagination to do so. And we have some positive, if potentially intense vibes on the moon side of the page today. That is, in your heart and in your home. And we have positive things happening on the solar side of the page today too, with Mercury going direct. And we're not so much having to have these difficult conversations with ourselves. We may not just have difficulty with the conversations that we have, but we are going through some changes and transformation here, and that's important to notice. Saturn still heavily influencing our day and our week. With that, I'm just going to turn over this card. Okay, so the Queen of Cups is a person who has full command of their emotional flow. They understand how they feel. They understand how the people around them are feeling, and they know how to use those resources in a way to provide for themselves and others. You can see that the water, which represents emotion, intuition, is at this person's feet, and it's sort of lapping up on her feet, almost as though it might reach out to get her, but she's not very concerned about that, right? She's got a cup full of emotions here that she's able to maintain and keep very calm for herself and keep very calm for other people, and sort of emanate that sense of emotional security, that sense of emotional security, and just being comfortable with having emotions and intuitions, not being sort of pushed around by the emotions or intuitions, being able to sit in that feeling of being emotional and intuitive, and emanate a peace and calm that helps other people's with theirs as well. And that is what I see in that today. So I'm going to leave you here. My name is Melanie Rose. I sure appreciate you all showing up to see your daily aspects, and I will see you back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.